back to the channel, and here I am at home. It's a fine day, bit of wind picking up now, but it's a fine day, which has been unusual, very rare these days at the moment because we're heading into winter. And we haven't flown for nearly 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks at the end of this week. We haven't had any flying at the field. So I thought, the sun's out, I'll go and take advantage of that. So I ripped down the park with Arnie and did a bit of FPV around the park with my drone that has the 4S lithium ion pack. I get 22 minutes out of that pack. It's brilliant. So yeah, had a good time. I'll put some footage in here if I remember to and can find anything that's even remotely good. But yeah, the whole thing was a whole lot of fun. And so I thought I'd give you an update on what's happening around here. Got my MRI results back. Really, really unexpected results. So I'll cover that in a future video, but don't worry, all good. It's worth a video on its own. But also what's happening here is I'm setting up the video server. I've got a bunch of Raspberry Pis. I bought those a while ago because I was going to make a whole lot of ADSB alarms. So I've got a few spare ones. I'm going to set one up as a firewall. I'm going to put all my other gear behind that firewall on a secure subnet. And then I'm going to put a Raspberry Pi on the public side of that firewall and make it accessible for you guys so you can directly watch the videos without YouTube getting in the way, without advertising getting in the way. And we'll just do some tests, we'll do some trials, we'll have a bit of a try it, see how this is going to work. If it's going to be practical, then that's just my phone. If it's going to be practical, then I'll take it a bit further and maybe we'll get a bigger computer or maybe a few Raspberry Pis, make a little cluster with some load sharing and see what happens. I've got 800 megabits of upload speed, which means if we had 8 megabit streams, that's nearly 100 streams in theory, but reality, 30 or 40 streams may be the maximum. But hey, I'm only getting 10,000 views a video. So if I stagger the rollout of the notifications, because you won't get notified through YouTube, I'll set a mailing list up and notify you directly. Maybe even an app, we don't know. But you'll be able to, I'll set them out in bunches of 40 or 50 so that you won't all try and watch the video at the same time. That hopefully will make things practical. And if the demand is there, if people like this way of delivering the content, and if I get other content creators on board who want to also have their stuff served from an alternative source, then maybe I will get some web services going. There's plenty of companies offering web services, so I can basically distribute the serving around the world to suit certain markets. I'm not going to be another YouTuber. I just want to make a little point on the internet where we can post our stuff without YouTube interfering, without being covered in advertising, which I don't really like. There we go. So that's, and I'm only able to do this because I did get a good response to my last video requesting some more Patreon support. People stepped up to the plate, and those people must be thanked because they are making this possible. I'm expecting the bum to fall out of YouTube advertising this month, or in June, because they're going to put all that extra ad space on there. All those videos are going to monetize. Means that there's a huge supply of placements, but the number of ads will remain the same. So supply and demand. You have an increased supply and a static demand, the price goes down. So even if I do get the same number of ads, which I may not, on my YouTube videos, then the price that people are paying for those ads will be lower, so my percentage of that price will also be lower. So YouTube is almost a bust in terms of making a living these days. It's really, really becoming less practical by the day, so that's why we're making these changes. I will be setting up an Odyssey channel as well. A lot of people have complained that Odyssey, and I found this myself, watching on Odyssey, quite often you'll get halfway through a video and then the stream just stops because it's distributed. It's a distributed network. It's like a P2P system, and if the next piece of the video isn't available, well, that's it. You're not watching anymore. It's kind of a bit flaky at the moment, which is why I'm doing the self-serving, because it gives me far more control. And we'll just see where it goes. And while I've got my Raspberry Pi on the bench, all my Raspberry Pis, I've also been doing some more on the ADSB alarm, and you'll be pleased to know that I've solved a major problem. The big headache I was having is that I couldn't find a decent screen that was going to be affordable, readily available, and would do the job. But I forgot. The original Raspberry Pis had a little RCA connector which gave you composite video out. You could plug in any kind of screen that would handle composite analog video and it would produce an image. Of course, the Raspberry Pi 4 doesn't have that little RCA connector, but it still has composite video. It's buried in the 3mm jack that's also used for the audio. It's like your FPV goggles. It's got ring and two tips. Tip and two rings. So you've got 2 audio channels and a video, composite video. So I'm going to enable that, and then basically we'll be able to use any screen you like. If you've got an old analog FPV screen, plug that in. Use that. You can even plug your goggles in. Wow, there's a hawk up here. Really low. Fantastic. I'm not going to turn the camera around, just take my word for it. So that means I can now start rolling out the first really beta versions of the firmware and give you the instructions to build it yourself. Woohoo, way to go. Now, as I said, I've got a few Raspberry Pis here, so what I also may do is just build a couple up and fling them out to people. I don't know whether I'll sell them or make a special edition with a signed case or something, I don't know. I've got to get a 3D printer, must get a 3D printer so I can print some cases for these things and make it much easier. But yeah, so that's all underway, and because it's winter here, the flying opportunities are fairly limited, so I'm going to be focusing as much time as I can on this kind of thing. Of course, there will still be flight videos as and when time and weather allows. We'll be out there flying, and I'll be bringing all the usual stuff, but I'm able to take advantage of the poor weather to do those things that I've been promising and threatening to do for a long, long time. So I've got a couple of reviews due to come out on RC Model Reviews, got some Cine Whoops, which you want to have a look at. Also the Byte Shark version, the digital FPV Byte Shark, how that works, so block diagrams like I did with analog, and the digital, the DJI digital system as well. So all those things I've been working on this week, and I'll be working on into the weeks to come. And of course, next month, Google takes some of my hard-earned money and gives it to Uncle Sam for God knows what. I mean, I don't use any US taxpayer-funded services, but I still got to pay Uncle Sam some money, even though Google themselves don't pay any real tax here. How does that work? It's because reasons. That's why. Anyway, enough grizzling, enough moaning about that. Just wanted to make this video, update you with what's happening around here, and tell you what to expect in the next few weeks. Anyway, yes, I did some flying, and I did some flying around the house as well. So I'll just throw some of the really crap video in here for you to have a look at. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. Thank you to all my new Patreon supporters. You are fantastic. And all my existing Patreon supporters, you're the reason I'm still standing here doing this and trying to support, promote. Oh, I nearly forgot. What am I thinking? If you're in New Zealand, in fact, if you're anywhere in the world, you need to go to the description of this video. There's a link to a survey, a feedback form, because as I mentioned in a previous video, the New Zealand regulator is proposing some new regulations about drones and model aircraft, and they're totally unacceptable. Well, some of them are anyway. So you need to go and read the discussion paper, which I'll link to, and then have your say. You've got to have your say. Now, these people are requesting feedback. We know they're not going to listen to the bits they don't agree with, but if we don't have our say, we can't complain if they just steamroll ahead and throw these ridiculous laws. For example, like having to register every single drone or model aircraft you have individually, with pictures if necessary, and then maintain this, update that information if you crash it or if you modify it in any way. In New Zealand at the moment, as I make this video, we don't have to register individually firearms. As a firearms owner, you register yourself, but your guns are not individually registered. The new drone rules, as proposed, would require every single drone to be individually registered with the government. Why? Aren't guns more dangerous than drones? I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, so this is the sort of thing we've really got to stop. It's not acceptable. It's not practical. It is just lunacy. It's going to cost a fortune for people to register all their craft, and of course the restrictions, unnecessary restrictions. Remember, the death toll associated with the recreational use of multi-rotor drones has always been and remains a big fat zero. And that's a good indicator as to the risks we're looking at here. Anyway, that's it. Got to go. Too much to do. Bye for now.